How much do you crave other people's approval? How easily can a single compliment, a few likes on a post, or someone else's casual praise completely change the way you feel about yourself? Today we're going to explore why external validation holds so much power over your emotions and how somewhere along the way other people's opinions started to matter more than your own. Today we're going to discover how to break free from that cycle, how to stop depending on likes, compliments, or other people's approval just to feel good about yourself. You will learn how to rely on yourself and how to become your own best friend and your own biggest cheerleader. Restore your inner balance and build a kind of calm, unshakable confidence that no one can ever take away from you. So, why do you crave external approval? At the core of this craving lies something deeply human: the longing to be accepted, the longing to be loved, the longing to feel seen and actually to feel significant. And there is nothing wrong with that. It's actually part of who we are. That's just human. But here is where it gets tricky. The line is so thin that you barely notice when you cross it. There is a big difference between it feels nice when someone compliments me, when they bring me flowers, when, I don't know, they like my post, and if that doesn't happen, I feel awful. I feel like I'm not enough. Do you feel it? That subtle shift when validation turns into oxygen, when attention, affection, and approval stop being pleasant add-ons and start becoming the evidence that you matter. And the moment you let someone else's opinion define your worth, you are no longer living for yourself. You are performing to please others for their validation. The second reason comes from our childhood, actually from our childhood trauma. Those moments when, as a kid, you didn't feel seen, accepted, or even loved enough. If, as a child, you were missing warmth of approval, it's only natural that, as an adult, you try to fill that void. You start chasing attention, praise, and validation, not because you're shallow, but because somewhere deep down, a part of you is still longing to finally hear, "You're amazing, you're great, you are good enough." Our upbringing shapes us and impacts us severely, actually. And if as a kid you were taught that your looks were your greatest asset, if every compliment was about your face, your hair, your beauty, your looks, and I don't know, you kept hearing something like, "Aw, sweetie, you're beautiful," and that's enough, that's all what you need in life, then it's no wonder that as a grown-up, you might find yourself seeking validation through how you look. But that's not love, sweetie, that's conditioning. And it's cruel because it teaches little girls especially to trade depth for decoration. This kind of upbringing does not empower women, it actually cripples them, turning their worth into something that exists only in someone else's gaze. And let's face it, no amount of likes, compliments, or admiration will ever fill that void. That void is bottomless unless, of course, you decide to seal it from within. Only when you build that quiet, unshakable knowing that I am already whole does the craving for constant validation begins to fade. Next on the list is low self-esteem. I've said it before and I will say it again. Your self-esteem must be steady. It cannot depend on anything or anything outside of you. True self-worth isn't something that comes from the outside. It's something that grows deep within you. It's rooted, grounded, and unshakable. Everything external, praise, attention, even love, is fragile. It shifts, it fades, it slips away. But your inner strength, that's your spine, your core, the structure that keeps you standing tall no matter what storm comes your way. When that inner ability isn't built yet, it's easy to start chasing proof that you're enough. Again, through praise, compliments, shallow attention, or even people's reactions, like how people react to you. And sure, it feels good for a moment. You got your fix, it kicks in, it feels like validation, but can you really build your self-worth on that? The next point is hormonal and biological factors. It's no secret that when we receive praise or attention, our brain rewards us with a mix of dopamine, which is responsible for motivation and pleasure, and serotonin, which gives us a sense of calm and self-worth. It feels amazing, almost intoxicating. And to be fair, our brains, they do not really distinguish between healthy validation and unhealthy dependence. For our brains, everything becomes a tiny hit of reward. So over time, your neural pathways start to adapt. You begin to need that stimulation to feel okay on a daily basis. This is called a dopamine feedback loop. The more reinforcement you get, the more your brain craves it, and the harder it becomes to feel fulfilled without it. So you start chasing it, looking at people with those desperate and hungry for attention eyes. And that's actually the danger of growing up being praised only for how you look or how you are perceived. It wires your brain to chase the high of validation instead of the deep and lasting fulfillment that comes from growth, purpose, and genuine self-respect. The next point I want to talk about is social pressure and competition, especially among women. And be honest with me now, like fully transparent. Have you ever, even subconsciously, like flinched a little bit when another woman got praised, especially for something you wanted to be recognized for? It stirs something deep, something primal that whispers saying, "Oh, you were falling behind. Everyone is better than you." We live in society that thrives on comparison. It's one of the drivers of consumerism. Social media has turned womanhood into an endless scoreboard. Who is prettier, fitter, more successful, more adored? We are good girls. We are not able to just celebrate someone else's glow because we internalize it as a proof of our own lack. A compliment to a friend feels like a quiet indictment. She is beautiful, therefore I'm not. But that's the great lie. Society conditions women to compete for validation in a world where validation is artificially scarce. We're told that there is just so much of admiration to go around, so we turn each other into rivals instead of allies. And that's the real tragedy when brilliant, complex women spend their energy fighting for attention instead of freedom. Another crucial point is the illusion of ideal self, the fantasy version of who we think we should be. We polish this version of ourselves and we share it with others. So we share the flawless version of me, the projection of your perfect self. And you know, your perfect self is effortlessly beautiful. She is perpetually confident and she is eternally radiant. And that with time becomes your persona. And then there is the real you that hides behind that filter. You know, the one who wakes up with puffy eyes, the one who questions her worth from time to time, and the one who sometimes feels very lost in her own skin. When the gap between these two versions of you, the ideal one and the real one, becomes too wide, it becomes a kind of emotional black hole. And that's the moment you start relying on external validation. In psychology, this is called self-discrepancy theory. It's the tension between who you are and who you think you should be. And the bigger the gap grows, the deeper the shame becomes and the stronger the craving becomes to close it. And that happens by performing harder and pretending better. So if you're a believer in the fake it till you make it approach, consider to reconsider. Because of course we want to become better. Of course we want to level up, but we want to achieve that not by pretending, so not by destroying the desired version of the future, but we want to integrate it, which is a bit different. So let's take a look at the toxic patterns that might be compromising your happiness right now. And you need to be quite honest with yourself in order to get rid of those. So first, pay attention to what happens within you and how you react when someone compliments you. Do you tense up? Do you crave more? Or you actually start questioning whether you deserve it? And yes, it is beautiful to be seen and noted. Attention and compliments, they can warm you like a blanket, but they should not fuel you. Because the moment your value depends on external praise, you hand strangers the power over your own life. People will always have opinions. Like honestly, it can be either positive or negative. People project, people judge, people admire, and people misunderstand. But it should not affect you because most of the time it's not about you. It's not about who you are. It's a reflection of who they are. The second one, we tend to idealize other people, and we do it all the time. We put our partners, friends, parents, even co-workers on a pedestals. Anyone but ourselves. And the moment you do that, your world starts orbit their gravity. You stop being the main character in your own life. Your energy goes where your focus is. If your focus is on another person, you won't have any left for yourself. You start neglecting yourself, you put yourself on the second place, so your hobbies fade, your desires quiet down, your voice softens until, one day you wake up and realize you've been living as someone else's shadow. And honestly, no one deserves that kind of worship. Not even the people you love the most. And it's not about being selfish, it's not about being toxic, or it's not even about being arrogant. It's about alignment. Loving yourself doesn't mean thinking you're better than anyone else. It means that you finally remembered that you are not less than anyone else, and you're shifting focus back to your own life. Another toxic pattern that we all have is denying our own feelings, needs, and emotions and desires. And we all do it in one way or another. We silence what's inconvenient, we bury what's painful, and pretend we're fine when we're anything but that. Sometimes we genuinely don't understand what we feel, and sometimes we understand too well what we are feeling, but we are too afraid to face it. Every time you ignore your emotions, you betray yourself a little bit. You abandon yourself piece by piece, again and again. Stop gaslighting yourself. Feel what you feel. Say what you need to say. want what you want unapologetically. Because feeling sadness, anger, frustration, like the whole spectrum of emotions, isn't weakness. Just be honest with yourself. And being honest, it's the most radical act of self-compassion there is. And moving on, I want to bring up something all of us do. It's boosting our self-esteem through someone else's attention or approval in the context of romantic relationship dynamics. It sounds harmless and it seems to be quite natural part of relationship dynamics. Who doesn't like to feel desired, to be noticed, admired, wanted? It gives you a rush, that small spark of significance. What one person finds magnetic, another person barely notices. If someone doesn't like you, that's not a rejection. For real. So why let someone's fleeting opinion decide how you feel about yourself or how you should feel about yourself? And another danger in this is seeking validation through your partner's attention. And I can tell you, it's a straight road to emotional dependency. And this is how you end up in situationships. When your confidence, your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth starts depending on another person, you become easy to manipulate and you lose your own value because that is defined by someone else. The moment their admiration fades, their mood change, it's like your world collapses. You start noticing flaws in yourself you never noticed before. You start dissecting yourself to fit their fantasy. You see yourself through someone else's, like your partner, boyfriend, distorted gaze. And finally, it suffocates authenticity and intimacy within the relationship. You start performing, trying to be the woman who's always enough. You become cautious, polished, and honestly fake. And let's face it, real closeness requires something terrifying. It requires honesty. And you cannot be honest when you're afraid to be seen without the mask that you put for another person. So do not hand your power away for a few passing compliments. Don't build your self-worth on borrowed opinions. So let's lock this in. Inner peace and a true sense of worth, they have to be cultivated. It takes time, honesty, and the courage to face yourself without filters. You have to learn to love yourself first, to see your own value before you go searching for someone else's to confirm it. Because no matter how much praise, attention, or affection you get from the outside, it will never fill the void that only self-acceptance can. When you finally make peace with who you are, you stop begging the world to validate you, and this is when everything for you starts shifting. No one can make you whole until you stop believing you are broken. So how do we stop chasing this attention and validation from the outside? It is simple, but not easy. So let's go through it step by step and what in practice we can do to have this unshakable self-worth. So we need to build emotional independence, and that means no longer waiting for someone to save us, entertain us, or validate us. No one is coming to hand you a more meaningful life. That is your job. So instead of chasing people who you think could make your life more interesting, become someone who makes their own life worth living. You have to become the person that fascinates you in the first place. Just imagine living a life where your own company becomes enough, where your own growth excites you more than someone else's attention. So take a moment and write down how you see, how you envision your ideal life. What does your perfect day look like? What do you do? Who are you with? How do you feel when you wake up in the morning? I don't know, maybe you are baking, making yourself a healthy breakfast, dancing, painting, I don't know, learning something new. Like anything goes, anything that inspires you. So start adding those pieces of that life into your reality right now, because someday in the future might never happen. And every time you postpone your joy, you're telling yourself you do not deserve it. No one is coming to build that life for you. No partner, no friend, no lucky break. It's on you. And that's not a burden, actually, that's a real freedom. The moment you take full responsibility for your happiness is the moment you realize you've had the power all along. The next one is you need to become your own closest friend. You know, the one who never leaves, the one who never betrays, the one who never turns cold when life gets harsh. Be the person you admire, the one you are proud of, the one you would fight for no matter what. Stop waiting for someone else to rescue you, reassure you, or love you the way you need. That's your job. You need to become your own safe place, your own home. Because when you finally learn to stand by yourself, when your love for you becomes louder than you need for approval, no one can take that away from you. And the next thing you need to do is that you need to keep reminding yourself of your own goals and priorities. Keep your purpose in your line of sight. When you are truly focused on building your life, on chasing what excites you, on creating something meaningful, you simply stop having the bandwidth to obsess over what other people think about you and chasing their approval and validation. You just have to become too busy living your own life. And here is like a sobering thought. Just imagine you are in your 70s or 80s and you realize you spent your life trying to look perfect, trying to please other people, and trying so hard to be liked. Is that really the legacy you want to leave behind? Is that really something you want to be remembered for? You are already beautiful. You are already smart. You are gorgeous. You are already enough. You don't need to prove it or beg anyone to notice it. So stop wasting your energy doubting yourself and comparing yourself. And pour that energy, all those resources into your own becoming, into your own reinvention. No one is going to save you. No one is going to show up at your door with your dream life neatly wrapped saying, "Here you go. It's for you. Just take it." No, that's not going to happen, unfortunately. If you want that life, you have to build it. Brick by brick, choice by choice, and day by day. Just like that. Are you single right now? Just pause. Are you a serial dater? Stop running from one date to the next one. Stop mistaking validation for connection. Chase goals, not men. Give yourself a full-on detox from dating for as long as it's enough to relearn what you actually want, what feels right, what excites you, what are your needs and values. Rebuild your confidence and self-esteem not from compliments but from competence. And once you have it, you will start attracting what's right and not settling for less. There will come a person who loves you deeply, who values you, who respects you, and sees you for who you are. But for that kind of love to find you, you have to be ready for it. You have to become that person who can hold it, not just crave it. And that begins with you. So pause, breathe, reflect, do the uncomfortable work first. Look back at your past relationships, like not to blame the other person for anything, but to understand, to analyze. What patterns did you keep on repeating? What red flags did you ignore? What parts of yourself did you silence just to be loved? Give yourself space to heal. Let the silence teach you what self-worth actually feels like. And believe me, confidence is magnetic. It pulls closer what's yours, what's meant to be yours, and it actually pushes away what you don't need in your life. So, how do we actually heal and rebuild our self esteem? What are the tools, the mindset shifts, and the real inner work to be done in order to gain the self confidence back? But before we go there, I want to ask you a very simple question. Might not be that easy to answer, but what does it truly mean to love yourself? Not just in terms of words of affirmation, but in terms of action. What does it look like in your daily life, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you treat yourself, and in the way you stand up for yourself? Because how you define self-love says everything about where your healing begins. First, and the most powerful thing to do in order to rebuild your self-esteem is radical self-acceptance. You need to own your past because you cannot rewrite it and you cannot erase it, but you can decide what it means. You can choose how it shapes who you become next. Accept yourself fully. The past version of you, the present one, and even the parts of you you are still figuring out. Embrace every experience, even the ones that hurt, even the ones that you want to forget. Every mistake, every heartbreak, every bad decision, they're all chapters in the same story that made you you. Everything shaped you. So stop comparing yourself to who you were 2 years ago. It's good to notice your progress, but there is no point in getting stuck in the past traumas. You need to work with traumas and pass beyond them. Stop replaying someone's harsh remarks about you because maybe they made you doubt your self-worth and you're thinking, oh, were they right about me? Maybe sometimes they were, but maybe sometimes you were wrong, and maybe you've been messy, you've been emotional, complicated, and sometimes even too much. So what? That doesn't make you faulty or unworthy. It just means you're human. You do have shadows, you do have flaws, and sometimes there are setbacks and drawbacks. People are not meant to be flawless. People are meant to be authentic, and you are figuring things out while living this life. No one's been handed a manual on how to live this life perfectly. Sit down and write everything you like about yourself in one column. The traits, the quirks, the quality that makes you you, the ones that you actually appreciate and adore. Then, in the second column, right next to it, write the things you do not like, the parts you judge, the parts you reject, or the parts that you actually try to hide. And now, look closely at the second column and ask yourself, who taught me to see myself this way? Are these thoughts really mine, or these are echoes of someone else's voice? Were these opinions handed to me by parents, teachers, society, ex-lovers? And if so, why did I agree to accept them and carry them with me? Why do these parts of me make me so angry, so ashamed, so uncomfortable? Once you start tracing those feelings back to where they began, they start losing their grip over you. Understand that those unpleasant thoughts about yourself are not true. The step 2 is to look at what's left and say, yes, that's me too. I'm not perfect and I actually don't need to be. Then bring your focus back to the present, to now. There is no point crying over the past mistakes, as well as there is no point living too much in the future and neglect your present. Just this version of you sitting here and ready to start again. The past is done. You cannot do anything about it. The future is still unknown. It's still coming. So what you can do, you can affect your present. You can affect your now. So the next thing to do is to trade your self-criticism for curiosity. Get genuinely interested in yourself. Instead of, picking yourself apart, start exploring who you are. Play with your hair, your clothes, your makeup, your energy. Try on different versions of yourself. Experiment and actually try to have fun while doing so. Because it's only through trying, failing, and trying again, you discovered what fits you, what you like, what you don't like, or maybe something that, something that feels like home. So the goal here is not perfection, it's connection with yourself and exploration of yourself. Alrighty, let's wrap it up. I want you to remember, you are the only person who truly knows yourself. No one in this world understands you the way you do. Only you know what's best for you, no one else. Second, remember that other people's opinions are reflection of their own experiences, their own fears, and their own perceptions. So what they think of you says everything about them and very little, basically nothing about you. And finally, the most important person you can ever receive love, support, and validation from is yourself. You are your own home, your own anchor, and you are your own constant. Thank you for being here with me today, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.